Hello and welcome. This is Best Foot Forward Shoes, the podcast, and this is episode 32. Thank you so much to everyone who has tapped in, who has subscribed, who has liked. Thank you so much to everybody who watched our latest episode with Sam Dotkovsky. We talked about New Balance. So thank you so much to everybody who has joined us on this journey so far. Just recently, we hit 5,000 subscribers on the channel. And today we've got someone who I think has a very profound voice in the sneaker space. It is James Harvey, also known as the Urban Syndicate. If you don't know what the Urban Syndicate is, they are a streetwear and culture and lifestyle presence on social media. And he also is associated with Sneakerness, which is Europe's largest sneaker convention, running the UK and the Ireland departments. So, of course, as always, you're going to see all of James's social media platforms all down in the link in the comments. So thank you so much, James, for joining us. How are you doing over there in the UK this morning?
Yeah, it's not bad. It's 10 o'clock now, so I had a bit of time to compose myself. So hopefully we're going to get into a decent conversation.
Yeah, nice, man. Well, it's great to have you on. Thank you so much. We've been chatting for a little bit online, of course, because you're over there in London. Is it that where you are?
Yeah, so originally from Manchester, but I moved to London about a year and a half ago to pursue Urban Syndicate full time. So yeah, currently here. Might move though. I've been thinking about it.
Well, just because London's a bit of like it's too big, too busy, too loud?
No, there's a lot going on here. It's exciting, but I just think that, especially with the way the space is going, like London just seems to be quieting down a bit, and I'm looking at other avenues, other spaces where the sneaker space maybe is a bit more exciting to keep things moving.
Okay, nice. Yeah, well, for people who don't know, I'm in Brisbane, Australia, so we're kind of getting into our winter months. So if you might have seen my social media, which of course you can check out Instagram as well, the link is down below. I've been putting on a lot more, say Jordan 4s, Jordan 1s, some of the sneakers that I put away during summer, and I'm bringing them back out for winter, which is exciting. I just wanted to chat a little bit. We kind of start off first with a bit of recent pickups. One of my most recent ones, which I'm super excited about, was the MX95 Mandarins. This was picked up from a local boutique here. They sold out pretty quick, but I didn't get the OG neon or the pink foam, but I'm very happy with this one. Of course, orange is kind of one of my favorite colors, if you can tell by my cap, kind of trying to match there. That was one of mine. Did you end up picking up the Mandarins or any of the other OG colorways of the 95?
I haven't, but only because I feel like I'm going to be able to pick them up along the line. So my thing is that we're in a space where there's so much product coming, especially with the MX95. We've had the neons. There's a couple of different blue versions. We've obviously got the reds coming. We just had the pink foams. I'm in a position where it's like, I feel like I've already got a lot of the MX95s already. Like I've already got the neons. That I just don't feel the need to pick up another retro. I know they're going to come in another 5 years. Having a big bubble is exciting for me. But again, like I'm just one of those people who I don't feel the need to pick up a lot of sneakers at the minute. So a lot of my rotation, as you're going to see, are pairs that are very on trend, but are not necessarily things that I'm picking up or buying myself. Like 95s are cool, but you'll be able to pick them up in 5 years. So it's not a must.
Yeah, that's one thing. I think that's one of the reasons why I've liked chatting to you and wanted to bring you onto the podcast. Kind of, you have somewhat of a larger perspective. I think sometimes we can be very narrow focused and kind of just what's next or what has just come. And I think you can have a bit more focus, which we'll get into kind of your social media experience and sneaker space experience. But I just wanted to quickly pop in my other recent pickup, which I'm super excited about, was the Earls Collection 2160 from Asics, picked up from eBay, only a few bucks over retail. Slightly used, but yeah, super happy with these ones. I don't know if you saw any of these in hand, like how crazy some of the details are.
The mesh runner trend is definitely, it's definitely kicking off. But again, super beautiful shoe, and it's still wearable. Like having that brown color with the light beige mesh. Yeah, that's a pair that you're going to be wearing a lot.
For sure. And I think that, again, our winter here in Australia is not crazy. Like we can still wear mesh runners. It's definitely not like hardcore winter. We don't have snow, so I'm not going to be worried about that. But so those are some of my sort of recent pickups. I did wanted to ask you, James, kind of first of all, before we get into some of your favorite pairs or recent pickups, I just kind of wanted to start at the beginning, sort of thing. How did this kind of start for you? Like you've been in the game for a long time, you've been kind of had a passion for a long time, but how did your passion for sneakers kind of start, and where did it come from?
So my passion for sneakers really started in like 2016, 2017. So I grew up in a very small village, grew up on a farm, like out in the middle of nowhere, just outside Manchester. And again, sneakers weren't a massive part of the culture, but Kanye comes along with the 350 and I was hooked. I don't know what it was around it was actually the Zebra colorway that was coming out, and I just started seeing it on social media. A couple of my friends were interested in it, and again, I was listening to a lot of Kanye's music, kind of just in the space.
Yeah.
But I wasn't a sneakerhead. Like, I wasn't collecting shoes in any way. It was just this person spoke to me on like a spiritual level. He just called me.
Yeah.
So did my research, went on all the blogs, didn't really understand the space or anything. I didn't even understand the collectability. I just knew this shoe was going to sell out. It was obviously a Kanye sneaker. And I had to get it. So 4 a.m, me and my friend Luke get up.
Wow.
And we travel over to Foot Locker in Manchester, and we queue out. And then when I was there, I just met a load of really cool people who were interested in the space, but way deeper than I was. So I met a guy called Ryan, who I'm still friends with now, and a few others. And we just started talking about, again, the collectability of sneakers, the history behind it. And from that point on, I really realized that, like, I wasn't just interested in the shoe. I was really interested in like, the history behind it, the other colorways, the other silhouettes, why it became how it is, why it was an Adidas collab. And, like, I just, from that conversation over, like, 4 hours between, like, 4 a.m. and 8 a.m., I learned the whole history of the 350 and everything else Kanye had done. And I was hooked. Like, we made a little group chat. We started picking up other releases and planning trips to go camp out for sneakers. And like from there, it just kind of expanded and expanded and expanded.
Yeah. Wow. That's something you kind of don't see that much these days in terms of people camping out for sneakers at that time. I know it has seen a little bit of a resurgence. But
so I was super fortunate to come in just before COVID. So I started collecting 2016, 2017.
Yeah.
Like, that was the pinnacle of sneakers. So, like, I camped out for the Panda Pigeons. I camped out for the green and purple Lots, which I didn't get. I camped out for the Jordan 1 Gym Reds, which, again, like, it's back then, to think that the Jordan 1 Gym Red was a sellout sneaker is a crazy thought. But, I didn't really understand what was going on really in depth. And I was still doing a lot of research. I remember buying a pair of Nike SB Dunks, and my friend roasted me, being like, that colorway is hideous. It's garish. But I was almost like knee deep in it at that point, and kind of just going along for the ride. And I've met some really cool people. From there, obviously, we made the Instagram page, and then it kind of rolled on. But it was just really weird because I had that in-person association. It then became way easier for me to jump into the culture. I wasn't following trends of what was going on Instagram or Facebook or social media. It was literally like, yo, I'm camping out for this shoe on the weekend. Do you want to come? And that was like the reason I was going is the social side of it.
Well, I was going to ask you a little bit of a segue into how you started your Facebook page, but I just quickly wanted to ask you, what would you say the difference is between someone coming into sneakers like right now and someone coming in when you started? Like, what would be the biggest difference between those two?
I think the biggest problem is social proof. So when I wanted the Kanye 350, I didn't know the context behind it. I just thought it was a cool sneaker. And obviously I know who Kanye is, but like there was no monetary value in it. I camped out for the shoe because I just genuinely thought it was a cool shoe that I wanted to have. Like, it was different to anything else I'd ever seen. On now, because of social media, like, you see a post with 10,000 likes, and it changes your perception of how valuable the product is. Yeah. And I feel like now and to be fair, there's obviously some of that with myself. Like, I can't pretend that doesn't affect me. But I do think that now, like, from my brother's 12 now, and he's buying New Balances and Asics because they're trendy on social media. Yeah. And it's like, I could never imagine at 12 being even into sneakers. Some of it is definitely because I'm into sneakers and he just wants to be a bit like me. But again, his whole life perception is built around this like likes, clicks, like almost like that economy. And I think it's crazy that like that influences the media and the market so much.
Well, I think that's a universal like human perception of you want to be liked by other people. It's just at this point in time, it is kind of on social media a lot of the time. And that's kind of where you can live, especially if you are of that age of 12. I don't really have any siblings of that age, but I know that when we were, younger, we were obviously wanting to be accepted by people, but a lot of the time it was like in person, which, sometimes if someone says that your sneakers suck in person, it might hurt a little bit harder than someone who says your sneakers suck online. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong.
It's kind of weird because like I think in person you have that back and forth. There's like you build a relationship. Where on social media, like I've had comments that like genuinely like affect you mentally because you don't understand the context to it. Like there's no laughing, no joking, there's no like you don't understand the social cues. So I think social media is like way harder to judge because again, like I know people who started brands and they just bought it at the beginning of it, and people then think it has social proof because it has 10,000 followers, and they're like, oh, this brand's cool because it sells out, and they got 10,000 followers, and like it almost like tricks something in the brain to thinking it's something that it isn't. Where in person you can't do that. You have to like see the product, sell the value of it, and then kind of give the social proof is then in the value of the product and not necessarily in the value of this almost like untangible social status that it's given.
I promise everyone listening that we will kind of delve a little bit deeper into who James is and who the Urban Syndicate. But I think that one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on as well is because you have a lot of opinions, and I was very happy with having this kind of free flowing. I usually have a very kind of regimented questions, answers, and all that, but I think that you have a mind that can go to many different places, and I hope that I can play off that a little bit. So I guess we'll get back kind of to the flow of things, where I'm going to ask you kind of where did the Urban Syndicate come about, and kind of for someone who would have no idea what it is, what exactly is it, and what do you kind of hope to achieve with it is a question I'm going to ask.
It's kind of developed over time, but I think that, again, anything that is to survive has to evolve. So originally we did start off as a group where we used to just meet up and buy sneakers. So we'd go camp out in Manchester, and then we go for a pint afterwards. Or we'd go to Foot Locker and camp out for a Jordan. And again, we'd go, I don't even know, to the park or whatever and go get food or something. And like, it was just a social group where people, when they had a group chat, we knew what drops were coming. It was local people who are from the local area. And we just kind of built up this relationship it was actually called the Inner Circle at the time. And we just were kind of running that as a thing for us to keep in touch with each other and then build something out. From there, it kind of developed where I met a couple of brands, met a couple of people. It started gaining momentum. We had a WhatsApp group that like maxed out. So at the time, there was a limit of how many people we could have in the group. And I remember like it just got too big. Like, there was just too many people in it. So it ended up in that position where like you just have to navigate a new space. So we moved over to Discord. We started doing other things, and it just kind of grew from there. Like it then translated from a community over to more like a social page where like we're still meeting up like a couple of times a year, maybe at a sneaker event, or we'd have like a dinner. We went bowling, had like 100 people turn up, 50, 60 people maybe. And then just kind of build out from there. Like it was just one of those things where we just kept just evolving it. Now, obviously, the sneaker community is kind of slowed down. A lot of the tourists have gone, and a lot of the people who I thought were sneakerheads have sold their collection and left. Like, it's just people I've grown up with in this space just seem to, they've got to pay rent or change career, and they've got left. So now the space is a lot smaller, and now we do a lot more news. Now we have a Discord server where we're helping people like find deals and locate sneakers. And again, I still meet up with a lot of these people individually, but we don't really do a big event. But from there, I've also pivoted to then run Sneakerness, which is Europe's biggest sneaker convention. So now a lot of those brand relationships I built up from early days, we're now utilizing for that. And obviously that's now becoming I can't say it actually. For the Island event, we're aiming for about 5,000 to 10,000 people. So for Island, again, like we've gone from 100 people who are like super tight knit community to now representing a way larger audience. But from that, we're going to be having bigger brand deals. We're going to be doing more stuff, and it all kind of links together.
And when did you kind of start having, I suppose, some interest from brands? And when you say brands, who are these brands, and why are they trying to contact you?
So it's weird because early on we were part of something called the Offspring community, which was so Offspring have their community where they help people buy sneakers. Like everyone tags each other. It was a really positive environment. From there, I'm not as connected with the Offspring community, but I think again, as you go, things evolve. We've worked with Foot Patrol on a couple of bits. We've worked with End. But the big thing for us now is that we have our website where I've done a lot of interviews with people like Brendan Dunn. I have a good relationship with J-Tips, and I've spoken to Nigel Sylvester. I was trying to Philip Lipschutz from Unheard Of. So we're hopefully planning something with him now. And again, like because of those relationships, it's allowed me to tap into some of the brands and kind of build a more like overall kind of picture, and then work with a few people. So I've done a bit of everything. Done focus groups. We do a bit of media. Just dabble.
Yeah, no, nice. That it does sound like it's pretty busy. Like it keeps you busy. Like, is this your like full-time job doing all this stuff?
Yeah, so Urban Syndicate is my full-time job pretty much since I moved to London. So I moved to London with a job, but then it didn't turn out. So I ended up unemployed. So it was either like double down and do Urban Syndicate full-time, which it was making me a little bit of money, but it wasn't making me a ton. Or just to go find a job and then possibly like leave this. And to be fair, for a long time with the economy and everything going on, I was 100% certain I was just going to go find another job and like keep this as a hobby. But a couple of people that are in my close circle told me to like, yo, this is your dream. You've obviously been pushing this for a long time. Like, just take a punt. So again, we built a new website, started reaching out to people and started like, I've been running it now. So I remember the other day I checked and I'd been on my laptop for like 90 hours in a week. It's like you just end up in a situation where it's like it's more than a full-time job. It's like double full-time job, but you still like you end up in this situation where it's fight or flight. You just end up having to like double and triple down. So I'm in that position now where again building those relationships with the brand, going over to Paris for Fashion Week, and just kind of building out those relationships and just kind of creating my own space where I can do what I want, kind of shape the culture in my own way, and then again like with some of my own opinions, change some of the things that I disagree with, because there's a lot of things in this industry that I don't think are correct. And I'd love to be the one to influence it and change that.
Yeah. Well, one of the like things that we've chatted about offline, well, off camera, was that we were chatting about the bringing back sneakers. That's something that has been kind of a big topic into 2025, a little bit in 2024 as well. I think of like the Wu-Tang Dunks, but this year we've had a lot of sneakers kind of come back, whether they be straight retros or version 2s. And I kind of wanted to let you loose, I suppose, and give your opinion on that. And perhaps we can have a discussion kind of why that's good, why it's not so good, what they could do better, some of these brands. So give us your proper thoughts on that.
So I think that the biggest problem with sneakers is that it's a collectible industry.
Yeah.
So like with everything, you have a group of people who are devout collectors who want one of everything. So we'll talk about the MX-95. You have people like Josh who run MX-95N. So his whole collection, or 95% of his collection, is MX-95s. For him, the story, the design, the shape, the collaboration, interacts with other sneakers where you have like the 97, 95 Oregons that just released. Like he's interested in the whole depth of that shoe. And that's what brings the allure of sneakers. Like you have these people who meticulously take the design and the shape, and they discuss like the toe box, like the taper on the end, reshaping sneakers. And like just have these people who like, they're devout parts of the culture. And I have a real feeling that like those people are being disenfranchised. Like we're going through a space where sneakerheads are already struggling. Like the sneaker space is not what it used to be. The economy's rough. We're in a position where, again, you kind of relying on the diehard collectors and fans to tell that story and to basically preach the message, to tell people like, yo, this Jordan 4 white cement release, and this is why you should care. Like you want to tell the story of like, you want to tell a story and just kind of like make it a thing where people understand your passion and then buy into the culture. My problem is that now you're disenfranchising the collector. You're releasing so many pairs. You've released all the OGs over the course of like 2-3 years. They haven't just released the OGs. They then did the Reimagine line. So you have a collectible version, which is the Reimagine line. So it's a limited version of a retro sneaker, which you have to have because the chances are they're never going to re-release those lost and found Jordan 1s. But in the same vein, you're then releasing breads, black cements, you're releasing white cements. So you end up in the situation where like it's like almost which one do you buy? There's so much stock available. Like then you have these retros of collaborations like the Wu-Tangs and the Galaxy foams. Like I know people who spent £700-800 on a Galaxy foam. They spent years having to wait to get that shoe. The hunt, the moment, they're getting it in hand. This is like something I missed. This was almost like one of those things where it's like it internally becomes a mission to have to get that sneaker. But on the same vein, you're like, oh my god, I'm going to pick up 3. This is one I really want. I missed it. I got to go back. But then there's another where almost like the ability for collectible, the ability to collect is slightly hampered. So you can't get one of everything, but you're trying. And that's almost the mission of the space. If you know that the shoe is going to come out in 10 years' time and you're struggling economically, or you've just 5 releases and you're like, well, I'll pick up 2, but I'm not going to buy the other 3 because I know they're going to re-release in 10 years. Then you've lost the ability to collect. Like that, and that's the big thing for me. I feel like we're going through a space now where like, we're going to have in the next 5-10 years like so many people are dropping out of the space. Like the stories that we're losing, the people who are just shifting their whole collection and no one's willing to buy it, so they're shifting it way below market value. The people who are keeping those sneakers like almost as museum pieces. Like they're people who have like Amsterdam Air Max 1s, and they've had them for 10, 15 years because they care so much about the shoe, the design, the philosophy behind it, the limited nature, and the fact that it's maintained its value. Like now, why would you keep a rare shoe? Like there's no reason, because you know that the possibility in the next couple of years is going to come out. You just undermined the whole space, and I really do think that even if we're not feeling the pain now, if you look down the line for 5-10 years time, there's going to be a lot of people who see this as like the worst mistake that Nike have ever made.
It's kind of, I think of a comparison to like eating lots of candy, like eating lots of lollies. Like, yeah, we get this really cool sugar rush right now, but then in, an hour, whether it be, metaphorically 5 years from now, you're going to feel the crash. You're going to feel like, oh, okay, now what? Like that high was so high, and now where's the kind of grind for that?
It's a bit like, it's a bit like climbing a mountain. You end up with this situation, oh, this is great, but there's no bigger mountain to climb. There's nothing else, because you know that, like, again, you can do it again, you can buy the same stuff, but nothing fills that like thrill of the chase. And again, like, you've just removed a massive part of that part of the industry, and therefore you're losing the people who are going to do the research. You're going to lose the people who are collecting for the point of like maintaining an OG collection, like the amount of people who just want to have all the original 85 Jordans. Well, it's not the same, is it? If you're just going to keep re-releasing them all the time and they're always available, it's like there's no special nature to it. And I think that's what you're losing. You're losing those moments of excellence, which we looked back on as those, like, again, the sneaker riots with Jeff Staple. If you were to re-release that shoe now, that moment, that riot that caused the whole dunk craze and did all that work to build up the sneaker space, it's almost erased from history because no one cares enough to think about the shoe. The reason that shoe is important is, first of all, the design, then it's the context of why it existed. Like, so it's the design, it's also Jeff himself and his work with Staple Pigeon, it's the riot, it's the collectability, because there's only 202 pairs. That moment then gets diminished and it gets forgotten because you're able to be like, yo, remember the 2017 release? Because that's then becomes the point that everyone remembers. And the 2017 release was 100,000 pairs and everyone got a pair and nobody then cares. And it's like, you have to remember that, like, as a society, we basically build up like a base layer of like culture, and you end up adding things to it and it gets constantly bigger, and you end up in this situation where like it's like building a cathedral. Like, you have built all these things, but if you just kept building, if every house was a cathedral wouldn't matter. And that's the biggest thing that for me, like, you need to build new stories, you need to build things that are equally as interesting but different to keep it exciting and to kind of maintain that level of excitement.
I understand. I think that there's one counterpoint. I'm not saying this is my stance, I'm just wanting to play devil's advocate. What about the people who perhaps are new in sneakers? Say, for example, like myself, I really only started collecting in like 2021, like seriously collecting. I did have a bunch, but I seriously collecting, probably my first big one was like the Lost and Found. Like, that was kind of my first kind of big Jordan that I got. What do you say to those kind of people who are new and want to be able to get things like the Galaxy Foamposites?
So, first of all, unfortunate that you missed it. Like, it's one of those things. Like, I do think that some things on the other side, it's time that we make our own stories. Like, you can't rely on what other people did 20 years ago to maintain your interest in sneakers. Like, again, I've got this really big theory that I think the Air Max 270 is going to make a massive comeback, but it's because it was organically something that was really big in the space, and a load of people loved it. There's that base colorway, and then they did other exciting iterations with the air bubbles and stuff. The Cactus Jack collaboration. I'm like, I think that in 10 years time, people are going to look back on that sneaker as like, whoa, what a moment that was. But that's a fresh moment that is made by the new collector and by the new sneakerhead and by the new trainer, people who are buying trainers. It's not a recycling of something that happened 20 years ago that people are looking back on with rose-tinted glasses. I think we need to be really smart about the fact that, again, like, a lot of these sneakers now need to have those moments like the Air Max DN so that people go like, And I know Nike internally are calling it a generational Air Max, but you need to give it a reason to be a generational Air Max. You can't say to them as a media publication, yo, this is the sneaker that this generation is going to grow up on, the DN technology, and then not push it in a way and give it the moments, give it the stories that you're giving to these older Dunks and older Air Jordan silhouettes and like the undefeated fours and stuff that are coming back. Like, yo, they're a moment, they're a thing, and you need to make those moments for the DN to keep it fresh, keep it exciting, and then to invigorate the collectors now to then instill it into the next generation, because that's what it really is. It's passing those moments forward.
I think that would be my stance. Like that I kind of brought that counterpoint to try and see what you would say to someone who would say that. My kind of stance is that I like that there are opportunities now for people to make their own stories, like kind of to be able to one of the reasons why sneakers is so exciting, especially for me, is that it's very individual. Like a lot of people enjoy sneakers for different reasons. For some people, one sneaker might be awesome. Other people, it might be terrible. And I think that it allows people to break away and kind of create their own collections and stories around sneakers, instead of everyone has to like this sneaker because Nike is retroing it,
Well, leaning back into that, like I have this theory that I think New Balance is going to replace Nike as like the heritage brand. So one of the things that we've got now is my brother, again, he's super into his mesh runners. Like he wants New Balance and Asics and these silhouettes that, again, the generation before mine, even my generation, would never even think of wearing 991. Yeah. And that's the shoe that his friends are wearing. Yeah. So it's like you end up in this situation where New Balance aren't retroing their sneakers. Like you get the odd like the 1300 JP that just released, or you get like the Grey Days where they're going to release a couple of silhouettes in a grey color. But you're not getting a Joe Freshgoods retro. You're not getting. You're not ending up in a situation where these pairs are hitting the market again. And I think that what's going to happen is that these shoes are now creating stories in their own way. Like Salehi Bembury's had a couple of big hits, like one after the other, and none of them are similar to each other. And each one has a distinctive moment that's attached to it, its own fan base, its own collector. And I think that what's going to happen is you look in 10 years' time, people are going to go back and be like, oh, well, Nike, while Nike was retro in the Wu-Tangs, New Balance were making new stories. And therefore, people are going to go back with like, whoa, remember that cool moment that New Balance did? Or remember that, not that I agree with this, but Jound with his Asics. Like people are going to remember that more than they're going to remember the like retro that just repeated what had already been done. Yeah.
Let's please divert to Jound. Please let me know your thoughts. Please tell me, because this is at the moment we're recording this, they only just released the second like set of colorways from the Gelcano 14s, and I really want to hear your opinion on those.
So I'm probably his biggest critic, but just because like I believe in things that should be beautiful. I just don't believe he does anything that is resounding. Like he's never done anything that is like blow me away in a way that really warrants the amount of attention he gets. He does what he does well, and I appreciate it. But like that minimal branding luxury is a fad. It doesn't contribute or add anything to the culture in any way. It's literally like reverse collaboration. I don't know if that makes sense, but like
reverse collaboration.
Doing the bare minimum to create something that is limited, but is also completely the same as everyone else. It's almost like that meme where it's like, oh my god, you don't know what those sneakers are, and it's a GR colorway with like one little laces are different or something. Like it's just, I saw the Mostros in hand, the Puma Mostros. He's doing a brown colorway and a black colorway. Yeah, I really like them. I think the Mostro looks way better with laces than it does with the strap. Yeah. But I'm like, it's not revolutionary. Like you're not doing anything that will be in 10 years' time. No one's gonna go back and be like, I can't wait for the retro of the Jound Asics Gelcano 14. Like no one's ever gonna say that. But
that's fair.
I understand why he does it, because it almost like fits the time period where everyone's kind of doing this like minimal luxury, like taking a sneaker, increase the price by £300, and then it becomes collectible. Like that is kind of the end game.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I can't knock him, because if I could do it, I would do it. But I'm really not inspired by it.
No, fair enough. Fair enough. I respect your take, and I did see before we started recording. I did see a bunch of the sneakers that you had with you, and I kind of, whenever I have a guest on it, I like to talk to some people who really have good collections, and I think that you obviously have. You spoke about you had like 140 sitting in a warehouse somewhere, but what are some of the sneakers you've got with you that are lately kind of inspiring you? This might not necessarily be your favorites of all time, but just what are some of the ones that are speaking to you lately?
So we'll start off with probably the biggest release of the year for me, which is the Jordan 4 Brick by Brick.
Yeah,
I think that guy, like, again, he's doing his work in the BMX space. The fact that he isn't like a basketball is really, really cool. And I do think that as sport, they've obviously crossed into other sports, but I just think it's really impressive that he's got a Jordan collab, and the way he's executing these is beautiful. Like, this is possibly sneaker of the year for me currently. Beautiful, beautiful color. The red with like that brick terracotta works really well. And on the photos, I actually didn't like it. I said to everyone, I was like, I don't think I'll pick these up. But these scream more of a PE to me than they do a general release.
Yeah.
And I think if you can execute a sneaker that feels premium, fresh, and is a monocolor shoe, so it's like just a red shoe, but has this much like texture to it and quality to it. I was just really impressed with these. And I think that, again, in 5-10 years time, people are going to look back as this is a pivotal sneaker in this very dry period.
Yeah, and the PE's the one that kind of comes to mind first is that Oklahoma 4 PE. Very, very red, kind of has a little bit more premium sort of details. Has the Jumpman logo, you know, those sort of things in kind of that gold plating, which is really nice.
I just think that, like, if you were to tell me that they were like a friends and family release with the box and the packaging and everything, I would have completely believed you. And I think for me that's something that screams like, it feels like they've done more than what you get in a GR, and I feel like that's really rare these days, and that's why I appreciate it so much. Like, you got to give people credit when they go above and beyond, and Nike really need to do more of that.
And you haven't put the white laces in, which is interesting. Some people, I think that the white ones are kind of make it just sing a little bit more. I'm not sure.
No, I totally disagree.
You like the red?
I think the laces match the tongue. That's usually the motto that you go for. So I'm quite happy with the red and red. And as I said, they've not been worn that much because they actually are quite hard to wear.
Yeah.
But getting into summer, they are going to be a regular.
Yeah. So you're more of a wearing 4s in summer type of person. Like, that's kind of your...
With a pair of jorts, they're going to go hard.
Jorts? Yeah. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
I think so.
For us, it's kind of, well, I suppose Australian winter is more like British summer. Like, our top is like... Our low, is like 10 degrees. So, like, that's...
I wish.
It's
probably about 10 degrees now.
So, like, that's kind of the difference, and but I'm that's definitely kind of up there right now. I'm if anyone knows me, I'm kind of more of a New Balance kind of fan, and I think there's the Joe Freshgoods Aged Well pair is still my number one. It still hasn't got knocked off.
I might have a little New Balance here.
Yeah, go for it.
So I have the sample Lorenzo G New Balance 860. So these are the personal favorite. I can't lie.
Yeah.
Like, you just can't knock this sneaker in any way.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird because I was chatting to New Balance about them, and they had an official collaboration, so they did a project with them. And then these are actually not an official collaboration, so these were done off Lorenzo's own back.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a tidbit that I don't think a lot of people realize.
Yeah.
But I'll be really honest, like, no shoe pops like this. Like, the little, I'm not a massive fan of synthetic material, but the silver synthetic pops on this with the rainbow, bro.
What number is that out of 100?
It's a sample, so it's still not
right.
numbered.
Okay. Yeah, right. Gotcha. And it's your size, or have you worn them yet?
Yeah. These have been worn for like 2 or 3 times, but again, these are one of those shoes that every time I get them out, like, they blow me away. I forget how good they are. And I think that sometimes you end up in that situation where you see a lot of sneakers. And again, I get a couple of sneakers every week, maybe. You end up in that situation where you almost do become a little jaded to it. This sneaker is one that you open the box. Yeah. And I get that little giddy feeling inside. Like I just bought something. It's great.
No, I feel that there's definitely sneakers like that. For me, it'd probably be the I mean, it's crazy coincidence, the 860 V2 from up there, whenever I wear that shoe, kind of the synergy of being Australian and having an Australian brand represented with New Balance, and just kind of I suppose the rare, it's not super rare, but just I don't see that many people wearing it. And kind of, I don't live in a huge sneakerhead sort of city. Like Brisbane is not exactly a very urban city. There's not many people walking around with like super fashionable outfits. It's kind of a bit more segmented. But whenever I've only seen one other person wear that pair, and I'm just like, yeah, I should have grabbed it out before we were chatting, but I'm sure you know the one I'm talking about, the green and blue pair. That's that I get that feeling from that shoe when what you're comparing.
They've had a couple of really good releases as well. Like they seem to be really consistent. So I'm excited to see what they do, because I feel like as they get further on, they're only going to do more great things.
I'm really hoping something's going to come really good from 2025, perhaps later in the year. I think that 860 released around November last year. And hopefully there's still some time. And I was like, yeah, you guys definitely need to pump something out this year, because, just keeping that momentum going is awesome. And up there is probably, I would say, the premier boutique in Australia right now. So is there any sort of pairs? Yeah, go for it.
It's another New Balance collaboration.
Yeah.
It's New Balance who are making the momentum. It's New Balance who have the noise right now. I'm sticking my flag in the sand here. Like, you don't see that kind of movement from Nike at the minute, and I think that it's really showing that, again, the sneaker you're talking about is another New Balance.
Yeah. Is there any other pairs that you kind of had with you? I know you had the Foot Patrol Saucony.
I've got two pairs with me left. So these are the Saucony Omni Grid 9. These are the Tiberian Desert, I think it's called. Yeah. And these are incredible. They're sick. They're beautiful. So cool. These are another sneaker that I just, when I saw them, I was like, I have to have them.
Yeah.
Like, even the little detail on the tongue.
Yeah. With the
like,
logo. Super nice.
They're so good. Like, I think Saucony's on a mad run at the minute, and I've got a really good relationship with J-Tips, and we've spoken to the team over there, and I'm just excited for everything they have coming. Like, there's so many cool things that Saucony have. Again, they're kind of in a really competitive space at the minute. You have New Balance, you have Asics.
Yeah.
They have to kind of push the boat out, but the Star Cow collab that they've done, they have a couple of beautiful GRs coming that I saw a couple of weeks ago at the recent press day. A couple of other collabs that I've seen leaks of and stuff that I know that are coming that I don't know is public information. But yeah, I just know that Saucony are crushing it. And again, Foot Patrol, possibly my favorite store in London, although the guy who was running it, Bradley Martinez, has just left. So there's a little up in the air whether they're going to be able to keep this incredible momentum. But bro, this is incredible. And I just think if it wasn't the Brick Fours, it's definitely these.
Yeah, pretty much from the start of 2024, my collection of Sauconys grew from 0 to about 7. So you can see that kind of explosion in interest in the brand, especially kind of powered by J-Tips. And I was really annoyed that Jazz Shadow, I can't remember the exact name, but his most recent collaboration on the Jazz model did not come to Australia.
Jazz 9.
Yeah, did not come to Australia.
I was meant to be gifted a pair, so Jay sent me 2 pairs, and they never arrived. I don't know where they are. So I'm... That was in like March, and it's currently June. So he told me they were coming, but I'm not someone who's going to press someone for it. So I've spoken to a few people. It was one of those unfortunate situations where suddenly they got lost somewhere. And
fair enough.
I'll pick them up at some point, but it was after the release. By the time that I'd appreciated it,
I just really wish that they had come to Australia. It's kind of like it's kind of a recurring theme a lot of the time. Like, we didn't get the Salehi Bembury 991 V2. I was super keen on that. Like, there's so many
good shoe, man.
There's so many pairs we just don't get, and I'm just like, I don't know. It makes me kind of want to live either in the US or the UK sometimes. Australia, we feel like we're a little bit on the island, but hey, with the power of the internet, I get to chat to you, and at a decent time for both of us, which is awesome. So, did you say you had one more pair that you wanted to kind of show off?
I do. So my last pair is the Jeff Staple Staple Pigeon Brooks GT4. Yeah. My pair, signed by the man himself.
Wow.
I've actually been very fortunate to build a really good relationship with Jeff Staple. Like, he's looked out for me. I went for peanuts with him, like, in Budapest, and over 2 to 3 hours, we put the world to rights. We discussed all sorts. After that, we then filmed a podcast together, and I just, again, from there, he introduced me to Brooks. Now we're working on a couple of projects. There's a collaboration that we're in discussions with, and not with myself, with somebody else. There's a couple of other things that we're doing with the Brooks team, and again, we'll be out with them in Paris for the Don C collaboration they're doing. So again, these guys just seem to be crushing it. They only started their lifestyle range a year ago, and this was their first one that they did. They then released the Cascadia, the yellow Cascadia that me and Chef Doomy did the collab on, and the Chariot as well. And again, they're a brand that I'm really excited for because they've got a really responsive team. We've been chatting back and forth with them. And again, I've given them a couple of ideas and they really seem to be behind it. Like they seem to just be something responsive to things that we've said. So yeah, I'm super excited. They're on the small side because they focus predominantly on performance.
Yeah.
So like the Glycerin 22 is a performance sneaker that is designed for like marathon running, where this is the very first time they've stepped into the lifestyle, but they're doing well. They're doing well, and I think it fits really well into like the New Balance Saucony ASIC niche. So it is competitive for them, but they haven't had any howlers yet.
Yeah. No, that looks great, and I think that obviously I've never met Jeff Staple, but he's someone that I think a lot of kind of younger people, if they getting into the sneaker game, should study his career and study his work and study the way that he has worked with multiple different brands and been able to continue his own design language, which is like very unique and kind of it's his own brand. And I think that that's something that it's hard to do. It's very hard to do to try and create your own brand.
So when I sat down with him, like to be fair, we discussed everything. Like we very rarely spoke about sneakers and fashion. We covered everything, but the bits we were discussing about is like how do you stay creative? And the big thing for me is like listening to the way that he like compartmentalizes life, like the way he'll have an idea and he has like a list of notes of things that he's thought about that day, and then he'll email it to his team and discuss things. Or like when they're in design sections, they'll have like different silos, and what happens is that he considers like a pizza. And he was splitting it up into different sections. And each slice of pizza has to have a different topping on it to change the flavor to keep it inside, but it's still part of one pizza. And the way he's discussing like the ideas and the way he works, just you could tell he's someone who's just got so much life experience in the way that like he articulated his ideas. And he's always been a massive inspiration for me. He's like one of the, I said it to him when I met him, like he's probably one of the 2 people in the space, maybe 3, that I've been like desperate to meet. When I crossed paths with him, like, it was a dream, man. And now I have his number, and I'm fortunate enough to
blowing him up to go and get some pizza every weekend. Nice.
I wish if I could speak to Jeff Staple every week, then I'd probably have a fashion brand at this point.
Nice. I'd buy that. There you go, James Harvey fashion. I'd be down for that, man.
Well, maybe. I've drawn a few ideas, but not yet.
Nice. Well, one topic that I kind of wanted to ask you, I guess. It's not a fully fledged question, but you can take it kind of wherever you want to go. Is there something right now in like the social media kind of content, whether it be sneakers or it doesn't have to be sneakers, could be fashion, could be anything that's kind of speaking to you right now? Like what's something that's really sparking your curiosity and something you're really enjoying at the moment?
So as well as sneakers, I quite like watches. So I think that again, with the way the sneaker space has really been operating, I've kind of been excited to look into like the technical aspect of watches, I guess. But my big thing is like I'm a collector at heart, so I just I go on these mad tangents where like I actually bought a book on the New Balance 574, so I read that cover to cover because it was just something that really interested me, and I was like, that sounds really fun. I've also been researching the MX 95 because I wanted to write like a long form article. I did a small one where I did the basic research, but I was like, there's so many little bits of the story that I was missing, so many different silhouettes, colorways, things that inspired that shoe that like I wanted to do a bit more research to almost like give it all like context and have a deeper understanding. So that was something else that I've been reading recently. I do a lot of this where it's like I just jump from topic to topic and pick things out that I find interesting and try and use that knowledge of and those experiences to then put it into a modern lens. So like I recently wrote the article around football. So football is obviously going to be a massive topic, and I'm all in on football. Like I genuinely believe in the next year or two, it's going to take over everything. Like there's going to be basketball and all this stuff will become almost like second fiddle to this soccer wave that we're going to get with this North American World Cup. So that's something else I've been kind of going deep into, researching the history of Adi Zero and T90 and Predator and all that stuff, and just kind of giving myself the knowledge and the context to then give insightful thoughts and to write articles and to like create the base of knowledge so that I can then build off it. And when a new product comes out, because obviously Adidas are developing these like indoor football boot kind of things. Puma just did the Puma King. They did the collab with Kids Super. Nike's obviously operating with the T90, the Total 90. So I'm just trying to put all those things together and just kind of learn more, because knowledge is power, man.
Even Jack Harlow doing rumored collaboration on the 442 with New Balance.
The 442, yeah. I did see that. I'll be really honest. New Balance just feel like they're always jumping on the bandwagon a little late. Like that was I'm not gonna. It doesn't feel very inspired, but New Balance with the momentum, there's possibility there. I think that they could do some cool stuff. My problem is that why Jack Harlow?
Yeah.
Like, out of everyone that you want to do,
he played soccer. He played football, I guess, at school.
But like out of all the New Balance, like people like Santan Dave, he just did the Santan Cup with Stone Island, whereas Stone Island New Balance football boot. He would be the first person I think of when you do stuff like that. Like, there's people who come to mind way before Jack Harlow, and I think that sometimes does feel like the big miss on a lot of these brands, where they end up like.
Yeah.
They go for the people who they think are going to make noise and not the people who make the most logical sense. You don't have to overthink it. And for me, Jack Harlow, the shoe's okay, but it's going to be a miss. And, like, I can tell you that before it's even launched.
Fair enough. I'll hold you to it. Like, it's I think his first shoe, I guess we're not going to go fully deep into kind of Jack Harlow, but I suppose the New Balance wants to make him work, and I feel like they're trying this new direction, trying to go away from like the running sneaker that they did last year. And I think
it makes sense.
I'm in agreement with you.
Well, he's a massive New Balance fan. Like, he's worn them like for as long as I remember. Like, like I totally understand the reason behind it. Yeah. I just think that, like, again, he needs to be performing in them, doing stuff that gets media attention, and I just think that, like, everything he's done in the sneaker space currently has fallen flat. I think that some people have it and some people don't, and he just feels like he doesn't. Yeah,
I can feel that, but I'd say that I would like to see him prove us wrong. I would like to see him come out with something awesome.
I'd love him to do an Action Bronson. But he isn't Action Bronson, so
no. I mean, no one's Action Bronson. Yeah, that's hard to follow up, especially in that kind of musical sneaker space. Like, that's kind of I guess the tastemakers at the moment are a lot of musical artists. It's kind of, I know you were talking about J-Tips, and he was kind of he's a musician, but he's also a designer. You know.
Yeah, I totally agree. A lot of these people are just artists, so they're music artists, they're sneaker designers, they're fashion designers. Yeah, they're doing graffiti and all sorts of stuff, all in the same space. So they're no longer just musicians. They're doing they consider themselves multimedia disciplinaries or something. Yeah. So you end up in this situation where, again, you're Jack Harlow, the musician who plays football, who is also a sneaker designer. But I just think some people excel at certain things like music, and some people need a little bit of help, and I'm 100%. Some people just need to find their rhythm, and there's a chance that Jack Harlow finds a design language that really speaks to people, and it just really, like, it almost becomes like one of those things where, like the chlorophyll Air Max 1 pattern, when nobody cared and then everybody cared, and it's like you look back in 10 years time and like, whoa, that was way ahead of its time. Maybe that's the case, but for me, I just don't see it.
So I suppose something that we've seen a lot this year is kind of the trends moving very quickly in terms of brands going from mesh runners to now soccer boots and those kind of things very quickly. Is there, I suppose, a danger in brands doing that, or do you think that they're becoming very good at adapting to what social media wants?
I think it's really difficult for brands. It's almost next to impossible for them to kind of figure out what is going on in the space. Yeah. Like, the lead time for a sneaker is 2 years. So you end up in this situation where you're operating for a 2-year deadline. You're trying to plan, again, the World Cup is in 2026. How can I maximize the amount of press coverage? How can I maximize the amount of news and buzz I can make around that? But you also have to then adapt to the fact that 1 week it's mesh runner, 1 week it's lug boots, 1 week it's football, soccer cleats, and you, like, a brand just can't keep up anymore. Like, I know that certain brands are, like, I think they call it, like, social engineering, but I'm going to use the word nudge unit, where they, like, almost try to set trends in advance, and they use certain people, certain groups to try and feed ideas where they know that, again, they're going to move into say the Adidas Samba is an upcoming shoe, or the Jordan 1 is coming, they'll speak to certain people to kind of feed these ideas into the narrative to help create a trend around it. But I'll be really honest, it's almost impossible for brands to do it. We then have the issue where, like, someone in America creates a TikTok video, and then next minute, someone in London's done it, someone in Russia's done it, someone in the Philippines has done it, and like the team that's operating in the Middle East, operating in the Philippines, operating in Europe is looking at this thing that happened in America. Is like, well, we couldn't have never predicted that this one thing was going to happen that changed the trajectory for a month. Everyone's bought all these loafers, and then the loafer brands are happy, but then they're now trying to keep up with that demand. And I think that this momentum, this kind of like consumerism, this like just this level of indulgence can't keep up. And we're already seeing it with the economy collapsing, but I do think that we're going to find now that the collapse of these regional areas where you have like Liverpool in the MX 95 and London with the MX 90, they're now going to start to gain a bit more flavor to them as people are looking to their friends and see what they're wearing, and they're kind of developing their own ideas of what is trendy, what's cool, and what's available, and also like what's on sale in your local area. Like I feel that things are going to change again, and that kind of fast-paced nature, it just can't maintain itself. So I'm kind of hoping that we have a bit more excitement in the space, because as much as I love seeing what other people are doing and kind of experiencing it all, like there's something special about having regional exclusivity and having like cultures to discover.
Yeah.
Because if everything's the same, then everything's boring.
That's very true. And that kind of, I suppose we've seen that a little bit this year. There has been, say, for example, one that comes to mind, the Kith Osaka pairs that were only sold in store at first, and then they were kind of sold online afterwards. The Japan Tokyo 5s that were kind of rumored to come back. I think they are still coming back in September. But those sort of regional exclusive...
I believe it's a slightly modified version.
Sure.
I believe it's slightly modified, so I don't think it's exactly the same, but who knows? We'll find out.
But the theory of a regional exclusive kind of, do you feel like that's going to die off?
Yeah, because of things like StockX. You're going to end up in this situation where like you can just buy anything now. Like I can go online. Like we have people in the UK now who just bulk ship from Japan to the UK. So you can buy Japanese Pokemon cards. You can buy Japanese exclusives like they did a recent code.jp, and you could buy for like 30 quid above retail over here. It's like there's no point in doing a regional exclusive if like shipping is so cheap, and like if people want it, they'll just buy it. Like there's no hunt for limited exclusivity. And again, that kind of links in with this exclusivity thing that we were discussing before. Like if you can just get hold of anything at any time, what's the point in trying to get hold of it? So I think that we're going to end up in this situation where like it's going to become a lot more if you know limited, kind of trying to spice up the space, making things more exciting, bringing in some new collaborators, some new creatives, and just again, it's going to be back to square one, because like as I said, a lot of those older collectors, they are kind of dipping out, and brands like Asics, Saucony, New Balance, they're the ones with all the excitement in them.
Yeah. No, I get you. Is there any sort of things that you're really excited about coming up, so to speak? Like I know we've talked about regional exclusive. We talked about some of the Grail pairs that are coming out. We've spoken about some of your like passion and what you've kind of done with Urban Syndicate and such. But are there any sort of either events, sneakers that are coming out that kind of are piquing your interest and making you excited?
So sneakers wise, the big one for me is the Union Fragment. So I have the original Black Toe, which I paid an extortionate amount of money for, and is about to become worthless. Again, I was a sneaker that for me was the very first Jordan collaboration. It's a pivotal moment in sneakers. Again, I'm a massive fan of Fragment, Hiroshi, and everything that kind of is around that. And it was a sneaker that I had to have in my collection, so I saved up for like 2-3 months. Ended up buying it. I was so proud to own that shoe, and I've worn it quite a few times. So I'm not going to pretend like I haven't had my enjoyment out of it. But there's something really sad about the fact that they're re-releasing it. So with a bit of heart, I'm like excited, but also kind of disappointed at the same time. So I'm in. Maybe that's the reason that I'm so upset about the re-releases. Is as I said, like that really kind of kneecapped me a little bit.
Yeah.
But on top of that, there's a couple of New Balance pairs that are coming out. I'm quite looking forward to the 991 V2 that's coming out in the green colorway. And there's a couple of other pairs. I guess they're just general GRs that I'll probably pick up over the next couple of months.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I've also got my Sneakerness. So we've got Dublin in October, and then I have a little secret announcement that we'll be announcing soon. But we've not quite got to the point where we signed the dotted line. So hopefully I'll have another announcement for you in the next couple of weeks. But you'll have to keep looking at the channels and see what we have when it finally gets announced.
For sure. Well, definitely everyone who wants to find out, you can have a look down in the description of this video, and you can see links to James's website, the social media, Instagram. And yeah, I think that if you're in the UK, if you're in London, if you're in Manchester, I'm not quite sure how far away Manchester is from London, but I think it's a somewhat reasonable drive. If you're having any events in London,
4 hours.
4 hours? Yeah. Oh, perfect. Doable. If you want to tap into anything that James is doing with events, especially if you're wanting to, I suppose, meet more sneakerheads and be more a bit connected locally, you can get onto any events that James is involved in. Sneakerness looks like a great one. I saw the one you had in Rotterdam. That looked super cool, super fun, and I've got an event coming up. I don't have an event. I'm going to an event in August, and it kind of made me have a little bit more excitement because I was like, "Oh, this is going to be a fun time." It's been a long time since I've been to an event, so I really appreciate that you're trying to do more.
The big thing about going to an event,
yeah.
Well, the big thing about going to an event is meeting people. Like you have to go out there with the ambition to connect with people. So if you do attend Sneakerness, come say hi. But again, like if you're going to an event, go meet people and then go see what there is. Because the reason that I started Urban Syndicate was because I went and met people in a queue and just I had the ability to go converse and create those. I think that it's really important. You should go to events, you should go meet people who are also passionate about sneakers, and just create the ability to have those relationships, because we live in such an online world. Having something that is real and tangible and in person it's special, man.
Yeah, I think that's one of the, like I said, kind of only been in it since maybe 2021, and only recently have I actually really kind of put myself out there with either making content or even just trying to talk to people online. And I think that's been, I think the most fun part is just chatting to people. I see a sneaker come up in the news, I'm texting like 5 people to try and ask their opinion, just to chat about it, because I can't do that in person. Like there's no one in person that I can actually talk to about that stuff. So I'd love to marry those two worlds together of people who are excited about sneakers and also in my local area. So if you can help anyone to meet people in their local area, then I'm all for that. And I'm super grateful that you're able to do these events and help people pursue their passions of sneakers. So thanks a lot for, I suppose, being a driving force. We need definitely more people like James in the sneaker world. If I can gas you up that hard.
I do a little bit. The UK is a very small part of this sneaker space in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah. Well, I'm not very good at taking compliments either, so I'll hold back on that one. But yeah, I really do appreciate James again for wanting to come onto this podcast. I'm just some guy in Australia who loves chatting about sneakers, and found James, online. He saw one of the other podcasts, and I just wanted to chat with him. So really do appreciate him coming on. Is there any kind of, I guess, final words, any sort of shout outs you wanted to do before we sign off for this evening?
No, really. I just want to say that I really appreciate taking the time to speak with me. Like, again, I was a massive fan of the stuff you were doing on Instagram. Your photography was great. And I obviously watched your interview with Doomy, good friend of mine now. So I was a real big fan of that. And I reached out because I think you're doing some great work. It's nice to see a perspective that's fresh. I don't think there are many people in Australia who are doing sneaker content like this. So it's just, for me, I would like to consider myself worldly. Like I like to see people who have different perspectives, people who can argue and disagree and come at things from different viewpoints, so that I can broaden my perspectives. And I really think that, again, from the conversations we've had, from the stuff that you've done, like, again, you bring a fresh voice to the space. So really appreciate you taking the time to speak with me.
No worries, man. Anytime. We'll definitely have you back on, especially if love to hear like a wrap up of your Sneakerness events. I'd love to hear that. And maybe in August, perhaps, when I go to my event, which is on the Gold Coast, which is about an hour's drive from Brisbane, just for context, we will chat about that, and I can kind of give you a bit of a rundown and, see what maybe we could bring to it from your major experience in doing big events. We can, chat about that and do all that.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
Yeah, we can chat about that, and hopefully, just you heard it first. I'm hopefully going to be doing a live podcast there as well, trying to make that come off the ground. So getting a bunch of guys together to try and do a live podcast at the actual sneaker event. I thought that'd be a nice kind of synergy, so to speak. So that's going to be awesome. Thanks very much, James. Appreciate everybody for, again, watching, listening. If you can check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. If you haven't, please leave us a rating on those platforms as well. Subscribe to the channel. Tons of sneaker reviews. Again, James's social media and websites are all in the description. Thank you, everybody, for watching. You have a good day.
Thank you.